Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today. We're going to be making this card, this lovely poppy card today, and just switch up some of the elements just to give it a different look. So there's a lot of die cutting on this one in particular. We've also used a punch and an embossing folder, so it's a real sort of showcase of the different tools that we have that we can use for our card making. So the star of the show are the Poppy Moments dies. So these are they, and there are elements that layer together. So our layered poppy is going to have this die and this die layered together, like so, to make it make the poppy. And then we've got this lovely sprig of leaves that also layer together beautifully as well. There's another layered leaf here, single leaf if you would like, and this lovely decorative element, some flower centres and stuff, and then this die cuts out one of the stamped images as well, and there's also an overlay for that. So lots and lots of flexibility with the die set, lots of things you can do. The partner stamp set, if you like, doesn't have any sentiments, and in that because of that I'm bringing in the Pansy Patch stamp set just to bring in a sentiment. All right, so we will get going with our card. So excuse me excuse me, if I just bring in some of the materials that we're going to use. Just got a silicone sheet there because I'm going to be doing some fine tip glue work, so it will just help protect my surface. I'm switching out the embossing folder, so instead of using the pretty petals, I'm going to use this folder, which gives you this lovely texture. So I think that's called Tasteful Texture, I think. But this is a 3D embossing folder as opposed to this one, which is a regular one. So we'll be doing that. Okay, I'm sticking with the black card base and the white layer for the embossing, so we'll do that. Already cut a little centre out for the flower just to save a bit of time, and I'm using different colours. Okay, so on our original card we've got Poppy Parade, Real Red, Old Olive and Garden Green, and we're switching that for Shaded Spruce, Garden Green, Cherry Cobbler and Real Red. Okay, so that's the combination that we're using. So I'm just going to give you, it will give you an idea of how the different colours will work differently for the card. All right, so let me put that to one side so I've still got it as reference. We'll do our embossing first. So this is a full card layer, 4 inches wide by 5 3/4 high. We're going to put that inside the embossing folder and have the Stampin' Up logo uppermost. When we're doing embossing with our 3D embossing folder, we need our embossing plate for our machine, which is the embossing plate number 4. So I'm just taking off all the other plates and just leaving my base platform here, putting that on my machine. I'm putting the embossing folder on, and then I'm going to cover it over with the number 3, 4 even, and widening that through. It goes through very easily. Just replace my other plates ready for die cutting, and there we have our lovely embossed texture on there. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll put that to one side, ready to go onto our card when we're done all the other bits and pieces. So there is a bit of die cutting to do, so let's get our poppy done. Okay, so we're going to cut one each of these, so we're going to go lighter colour with the solid image. We can put them through at the same time, as long as the dies don't overlap. It's going to be fine. And we're using the dark image for the sort of outline. and we'll run those through. So I thought I'd, you know, more or less show you in real time that the die cutting doesn't really take that long, and it's really worth it as well. So that's a nice solid shape, so that's going to come out nice and easy. We'll put that to one side. I'm going to run out of places to put things. And then here's our outline image. And that's come out beautifully as well. So they're going to layer on top of each other really, really simply to give us this dimensional flower. These little pieces need to be removed from the plate before it's used again, so we'll just take those off and put those into the bin. And then we're going to do the same with these pieces, so we can fit both pieces on, but we need 3 sets of leaves. Okay, so the dark one is going to be in shaded spruce, and we have the light one in the garden green. So we'll put those through as well. And we, like I say, we're going to do 3 of these, and it isn't going to take long at all. The Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is very easy to use, and I think we can legitimately say that that is card maker's exercise, running that through the machine a couple of times. Gets those arm muscles working. So there's number 2 going through. Replace the top plate and we'll go through again. All the instructions are on the sheet, sorry, the base platform as well, so if ever you're wondering what sandwich you need for a project, the instructions will be there for you. So hopefully that will just about fit on there. Yeah, just about. Sometimes you just have to poke out the little die it holds in there. Die cuts so beautifully. And we'll push that one over there. Okay, so that just slid off the plate as I moved it across. Normally I would just place it onto the plate over here, but obviously I just wanted you to see what I was doing. So this is the last set of leaves that we need. So that didn't really take very long at all. And those were just scraps out of the, you know, offcuts from other projects. So it's good to get as much use out of your cardstock as possible. So again, we'll just tease that out. We'll lay those onto our silicone sheet ready. And there's our other set. Okay, so not too bad at all. Right, let's get these starting to stick together then. So I've turned those so that they are face down, the dark green sprigs, and we're going to use some wet glue. Oh, not too much though, don't be too heavy handed with it. Just want a little bit on each of those leaves there. You could use a sponge and dab it on. So twist that round, and then this will lay over the top of this other layer. So you just want to line that up. So I tend to start at the top and work my way down. Just move that into place. Don't worry if any glue ends up on some of the other bits. It dries clear anyway. So it'll all come good in the end. Okay, so those will just take a couple of minutes to dry, obviously. So I'll repeat that with all of these. Just the tiniest bit of glue. It's ever so strong. You don't want it all squidging out everywhere, so you really don't need a lot. And so again, I'm just going to start at the base here, get that one lined up. All the ones as we go down the stem. You could do the same colour on top of each other just to give it, but I just thought the two colours would give it a bit more depth and dimension. So that's that one, another one, and then we're going to do a similar thing with the flower. Just line those up carefully. The glue will dry clear, no worries. Okay, and if you don't use too much glue, if you just press it hard into place, it dries so quickly. They're going to be ready to go without too much bother in a bit. So we're going to turn this one over, and we've just got a couple of wider anchor points just on the edge of some of these here. So just a touch here and there around the edge, and then we'll just put a reasonable amount in the middle, and we'll do exactly the same. We'll lift that up and layer that over the top. So we know that those anchor points are just there. A bit of a squeeze in the middle, and that is that. And then I'm going to use, there's just a little mark where the centre of that die cut is, where I'm going to put that piece of glue for the centre, which I'm just pressing into the palm of my hand to give it a bit of shape, and we'll just pop that into the middle there. Okay, so that stuff is just going to set while we do some other bits and pieces. We're going to adhere our embossed panel. Now the embossing isn't really deep on this, so we can get away with using the stamp and seal to attach this. With the other refolder, it is really raised and quite difficult to put the tape runner over, so I used the wet glue to do that one. The other thing I did on this one was I actually put some green ink on here into the background. I'm going to leave this one white, and we'll see how much of a difference it makes. Okay, we can stamp our sentiment. We're going to use Shaded Spruce for that. As I say, that's the sentiment from the Pansy Petals, and I don't have a piece of cardstock, so we'll cut that right now. The punch that we're using is 1 3/4 inches wide, so I'm going to cut that down literally a hair less than 1 3/4 in that trimmer there, and we're going to make it about, we'll cut it down to about 2.5 inches in the first instance, and we'll see how we get on with that. So there's our tiny little scrap of cardstock. I'm bringing in this little punch, so this is the Elegant tag, and I'm going to push it into the punch from the back here, and you can see where the cutting mechanism is, and we're just going to squeeze that, and it will just cut that end of our cardstock. we can then stamp our image where we want it to be, which is about here. So basically I'm making a custom tag with the punches. There wasn't one that fitted that image that I was happy with. Okay, so now we want to cut this end to match. Alright, so we're going to do the same. We're going to slot it into there. Okay, and it'll only go so far. So if it's going in all the way and it's not the right height for you, now's the time to trim it. Okay, so I think I'm going to take just an 1/8 of an inch off that, literally a hair off it. That's all. And I think that will be cool. Okay, so I can get that in as far as I want it, punch it down, and I've now got my beautiful custom little tag there. Isn't that cool? Rightio then, so that's the punch. We're going to put things up onto some dimensionals. Now I'm going to grab my minis for this because there's lots of other elements that need smaller stuff, so we'll just get out the one packet. We'll use the minis. So I'm going to put some on the back of this label, like so. So that's ready to go. And then our leaves have only got small portions to work with as well, and I want one of these to go onto some dimensionals. The others are going to go flat, so I'm going to put dimensionals where I can fit them on this. Okay, so that's on those 3 leaves. It's a bit too skinny on these 2, so that's ready to go. These are going to go down with some wet glue, and then I want some dimensionals on the back of this one as well. So we'll just put 4 of those on. I do find a pokey tool's a little easier for these little teeny tiny ones. Oh, let's put one in the middle just to be sure, shall we? Okay. So there's all our adhesive placed on there. So all we need to do now is start our construction. Now I'm going to start with the leaves that are going to go flat. So just going to use some of this wet glue to put our leaves into the opposing corners as they were on the original, so not really changing the layout. Okay, into the opposing corners. I'm not worried about this middle bit because this poppy is quite large and it's gonna cover it up almost by default. Okay. Little dimensionals off that, and because it's a textured surface, I'm going to put a little dab of the glue over the top of those as well, just to help it stick. And it's going to go somewhere about there, maybe. Okay, so poppy next. Sentiment's going to go in last. We're going to tuck it in behind the poppy, and again I'm going to put some dabs of adhesive over that too, just to help it stick to that textured surface. Let's put that about there. Now that's going to, there's kind of all wibbly bits underneath there, so we're just going to probably need just a moment or two just to hold that on. Take off those back ends, off those. bit more glue. And then we can slot this in where it looks good and we're not obscuring too much of the lettering, which looks about there to me. And I'm just making sure that this straight edge is straight with the layer that I've used there. Okay, or thereabouts anyway. So there you go. We aren't adding any more, I'm not going to add any embellishments to it at all. So there we go, guys. That's the variation on our original. Okay, so a few little bits and pieces to take from that. See what colour combos you prefer. You might want to mix and match the flower and the leaves to make them look different again. I do think that adding the little light covering of the green ink on the background helps the sentiment tag to pop, but then you do get a really nice clean white finish when you don't do that as well. So very much up to you guys what you think you would prefer. I'd love to know in the comments, and I'm sure you will let me know. That's it for today. As always, the products I'm using are all going to be linked in the description bar, so do go and have a look at those. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And that's it from me. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye.